Hey everyone, it's Jay. I work with JSON on community management. So for today's session, let's talk about how I think about prompting and what are the components, structures, some of good examples, and how you construct them to streamline your workflow. Why it's still important? So in every AI product nowadays, no matter the interface, the features, the tools, the vision, there's always a prompt first. For example, different API calls in the workflow with prompt. Coding context in cursor, you need to prompt. And tool calling and memory agent, always use prompt to trigger and manage them, right? So from my point of view, most of the time you are just writing one or two kinds of prompt. The first is like instruction prompt. Your prompt is like a clear path and let AI to follow and execute. Maybe you share some context, format, something you're aiming for. It's just about finish the task right now. The second tab is more like question prompt. You are trying to figure out something out. It might be like more open-ended or help you explore, reflect, or zoom out before jumping into a solution. So here's some few examples across two different tabs. Let me show you. So regarding the first example, if your task is about article summarization, your instruction prompt more like summarize article in this structure. For example, you want the bulletin point and you want to revise a tone like Steve Jobs. So you add this a little context after this, right? But for question prompt, you're more focusing on something like you don't know how to summarize, or you kind of asking the way or direction to summarize the article, and you get something like suggestions and or preview summary, and then you can decide if you want from the question prompt. And for another example, like maybe investor doc review, your instruction prompt help me identify what's missing in this Notion doc before I share it with investor. So with this prompt, you clearly know investor is your audience and you want to have a Notion doc. ChatGPT return something like Notion Markdown that you can easily copy paste. But for question prompt, so you want ChatGPT to help you evaluate your doc. To find something missing, you want some more details, help you revise more engaged content, or to ask feedback if article is just too boring to read or just maybe too long. I believe this table really clear what's the difference between the instruction prompt and question prompt. Now we look at another concept is called prompt engineering. So prompt engineering simply means you treat the prompt as a system, something layered, structured, and optimized to direct intelligence like ChatGPT with precision. With your intent, logic, context, and constraint, we can summarize into two words, structure and context. In the rest of the tutorial, I will show you how to use these pieces to craft a better prompt and build smarter tools. So in our two videos, the first video we will cover the prompt fundamentals and also some examples. I will talk about the popular structures and what format you can use and what rules you should do and not do in the prompt. For example, I will give you a list of system prompts that top AI product, so you can understand from very advanced example how they build their AI agent, AI tools using very clear structure and context in the prompt drive AI behavior. Then I will show some creative prompt that really blow my mind when I just view it. Help you reduce token, help you reduce hallucinations. It's pretty fun to view how people think about their prompt and build different format prompt to achieve the same goal. In the second video, I'll show you guys how I craft the prompt. There are two special cases I will mention. The first is called meta prompt. Basically, it is prompt generator that you just need to input your tasks, just a little detail about what you want to do, and this meta prompt that help you generate a prompt that you can use in the future. So that kind of solve you 99% of cases in prompt. And another is called AI agent prompt. Like when you putting your prompt into more practical, you will need to split into like system prompt, user prompt, and assistant prompt. I will show you the AI agent prompt in API Playground and NAN case. Last but not least, no matter what kind of fancy prompt you build and you collected, it always solves the problem. Great. Now that we are aligned on the definition of prompt, let's talk about structure and how to actually build one. And I have to introduce this article released about in 2023. It introduced a framework for crafting prompt, something you can break down, understand, and reuse. Here's the idea. A good prompt is just not about the words, it's a system. You break down into components and different elements, and then you have some recipe and instance. This is a layer. Different layers give you different perspective and context there. There are 5 core components in this framework. I will start one by one. Start by defining the task. This is what you want AI to do. It can be the instructions or questions like we mentioned before, right? So here you can think of 3 parts. Command, what you want done. Role, the persona or expert lens that you want AI to adopt. And topic query, more like subject you are focused on. Setting the right role is crucial. This shapes AI perspective and you help set the tone and content focus. Be specific. So for example, if your task about analyzing data or any data project, you could set the role as data scientist, data analyst, or data pipeline engineer. Even though still with data, they approach a prompt differently. Just think of the person in your life. People have different occupations, professions, so they have different lens regarding the same thing. They use different terms, they use different mindset to consider that. So start with the proper role. You can definitely leverage your prompt as step 1. And we move to next part is called instruction. Define what you want in the output. For example, do and don'ts, those set the boundary and what to include or avoid. Essential to define clear output schema and constraint to ensure smooth data handling. And for output structure, this is where you define the flow of the content. Assuming you are generating article, the structure would be like main heading and subheading under each, and 300 words in the paragraph, and 1 sentence summary, and 1 table of contents, and then closing paragraph. Block is just a basic example. You can apply this structure to highlight what kind of structure you usually use or you are familiar. The more structure you give, the more consistent and reliable the output. Structure prompting is key when building automations and agent pipelines. You would also specify an output format, like use JSON, Markdown, or XML, or maybe other some symbols or emojis there, especially when integrated with downstream tools. This keeps your output clean, relevant, and easy to parse. Regarding the element of examples, large language model is really good at following the exact pattern and mimic style or any logics. If you want large language model to follow other style, for example, Steve Jobs speech styles, or follow like any developer you like their coding styles, just provide 1 or 2 examples there. It's in the industry called few-shot prompting. These prompting skills sometimes even speak louder than the whole structure of prompt, because the large language model will set the anchor of the outputs. And there is a pro tip: keep example consistent. When adding example to prompt, use them to reinforce the clear pattern so AI can follow it reliably. And if you do need to include multiple styles or use cases in one prompt, just add 1 or 2 sentences upfront or to explain when and how each example should be applied. This gives model context to switch mode without getting lost. And then we move to context. So context is where things get personalized. Imagine you are presenting a solution to someone. So think about who is that. If your audience is like AI beginners, so you won't tell the model avoid some industry terms, avoid jargon, and use general, easy to understand language. But if your audience is like AI developers, you might include like technical terms or any like code logics. So context make your prompt more targeted and the output more useful. There are also a part about API parameters like temperature, tokens, etc. That's more advanced and in API Playground. I will help you guys understand maybe in the future of videos. That's how you put prompt engineering into practice, not just writing prompt, but designing them with structure, purpose, and precision. Great. After we have talked about the concept of the prompt structure, let's put it into practice. Like 2 years ago, we don't have any advanced reasoning models, but today we do have a lot of great advanced reasoning. So sometimes you don't need to that complex prompt engineering technique to move forward. But nowadays, when I try to set up my project to initialize, I still use these several elements from that prompt structure. Help me set up everything from 0 to 1. Here is a quick example. I want to generate a website. Then I set a role, designer and structure engineer, because I know this should be layout first. I don't want to like quickly dive into the content. And for task is generate website. Then I give a little context, who I am and what's the audience. And then I just leave the empty because I think ChatGPT can help me understand this part. And for the output format and view, since my goal is to generate a full prompt to initialize the project, so I usually need a format and view that I can easily copy. I can just do the copy, and I can go to any like UI builders, just copy paste to have the very structured thing. And I can show some tricks here, like how I usually do with format and view. For example, if you want to present or you want to have a structured things as a preview, I use do table format. I can just directly copy paste to my Google Sheet that can organize first, and then we can move on. And another output format I usually use is mermaid diagram, and you also put in the code view so you can easily copy paste. So basically it gives me the structure. I can just have a mermaid view or any mermaid editor online, so you can just directly copy paste the code. Then you will see very clear structure of your website right now. For example, homepage can go community tab, can go resources and about us. Then you have this kind of layer, so you can definitely understand how it can be constructed. Another format that can directly show what the website looks like, just use HTML format in code view. Still, you can copy paste. Then I will show you what it looks like. So you copy paste the whole code, and I don't edit anything. Then you can see the preview of your website here. So I'm still using the online editor, so you can easily see what the results or see if the code works. And these are just a few examples. I show you how to use prompt and other easy online tools to initialize your project or start up any idea. Just leverage your creativity. And if someone asks, okay, I don't have any creativity, then you should do another prompt. For example, when I prepare this content, I also ask, besides HTML mermaid, what other format I can use in prompt that generate for me? I can see the result using online editor. So I always keeping ask questions. Then I found out there's a whole list of visualization ways. Here's all things you can try. And now we can move to the API playground. So you can just tap OpenAI API playground and you will land it on this page. They have the new feature is free beta. So on the API playground, for example, your task is generate website for AI community that helps AI builders ship their product and showcase. It's kind of exactly the same I built on the UI I showed you before. So it create. Now you have very simple prompt that usually ChatGPT has optimized for you. Okay, and then you have also a structure prompt. It has a task you have, the requirements more like do and don'ts. Steps is important when you want to finish a long task or task with dependency, so you better have the steps to lead. And then again, output format is important. Examples both have input and output. It sets the tone and logic for ChatGPT to follow. And also some extra notes. So as you can see from the example, even OpenAI encourages users to use structured prompt because they consistently lead to better results. I also found strong evidence of this in a new guide just released a month ago by the OpenAI team. It's called Prompting Techniques for the newly released GPT model. It includes a section specifically on general advice on prompt structure. And for other part, it's more like AI agents, so I will cover in the next 2 videos. From the team, it's a good starting point for structure your prompt. So you can see it includes almost everything that we talked about before in the article in 2023. So this tells us something very important. After nearly 2 to 3 years of prompting evaluation, or evolution, structured prompt still works and they still matters. The OpenAI team also recommends some format here to be as delimiters that help you separate your prompt into clear sections. For example, you use different symbols like Markdown, XML, and JSON. They all are highly structured and well understood by the model. They give you input another level of structure that help large language model better understand your data, your intent, and your instructions. And here is another great example how you can use prompt to create Apple liquid glass style on UI. I want to showcase another structure prompt that not using the JSON, not using the XML format, other symbols, just using clear naming structure to create Apple liquid glass style on UI. So it means you guys do not need to follow exactly the pattern or some fixed templates. You can just create your own and build very powerful case. Let's dive in. I make a post in our community and I found a prompt that is very structured as well. So I want to take this as example to show you guys how you can mimic a style or define a lot of elements in one prompt to create such beautiful UI in your website as well. I tried different models. For example, my builders called Lovable and use DeepSeek, then use Claude Sonnet 4 and GPT-4 with Canvas. Both of them failed, but DeepSeek and Lovable make it great. So let me show you the prompt here. For example, this is the goal and objective with task detail. Then you put very detailed design guideline. You also can provide some resources because a lot of models are pretty advanced now. So you can just provide something like public URL that adds the background image. For example, this one, they all use the same, but Claude just failed. I don't know why. Okay, back to prompts. There are some structure elements. For example, you do and do not. So you want to set something like to avoid. It's really important because large language model is probabilistic model that just give you something random, or if you try different things without those do not rules, you will get totally different results. And for very hierarchy, you see there is another do not rule, and the responsiveness, language use. Okay, text stack with public image. So you see at each section, it has very clear naming. Do not let large language model be confused on the prompt level. And then you should give some more like specific detail or like parameter things to set the specifications. You can add some notes like this to strictly follow. Just by combining this prompt together, you will get such beautiful UI at a second.